But let's cross over live now to Abuja, the nation's capital, where Engineer Ben Akak is standing by, Chairman Bengi's group, as well as someone who is very, very interested and passionate about the youths. Engineer Ben Akak, it's always a delight and pleasure to speak with you. I wonder, as we mark the International Youth Day, I wonder if you think such days on the United Nations calendar would make a difference in Nigeria and, of course, across the world on the life and impact of youths.
Well, Kelly, nice having you. First and foremost, my condolences to the family of various souls that passed on in Katsina. This is not the way we should go. We pray that such doesn't come up again. But having said that, what a day, what a time to celebrate the young people. It's always good. I think it's important. It's necessary. It gives them the sense of belonging and opportunity to be part of the process. And I think such a day is quite commendable, and it should be encouraged. In fact, more things should be added to it, just beyond celebration.
Yeah. Do you even think that the youths in this country are celebrated enough?
Well, they might not be. They might not be. They have a lot of issues around. We're not celebrated enough. But it's good to start from somewhere. I mean, just a day like this, first. Beyond just that is the fact that they themselves have not really discovered their potential. And it's because the environment does not encourage it. There's a lot of militancy, there's a lot of poverty, there's a lot of insecurity, but all this ties to worsening economic situations in our country. But I think, well, a little bit of celebration, a little bit, but it's better than never, better than never.
Naka, I was also going to ask you, when you look at Nigerian youths on a general scale, what exactly do you fear the most? What exactly do you consider the greatest challenge of the Nigerian average youth?
I think lack of investment. There's a lack of investment in the sector, in the youth. That's a good challenge. And beyond that lack of investment is the fact that there is no proper plan for the young people in this country. I mean, President Muhammadu Buhari has done well. He's appointed a few young persons, which I commended, which needs to be commended at that point. Having to appoint the chairman of EFCC, who is below 45, and the director general of SMIDAN. These are quite encouraging. For SMIDAN, for me, is a sector, is a department that is tied to development. So I think too much investment has been done, but we hope that subsequent government will invest in that, and the investment will come a lot for us.
All right, so 2023 is around the corner. There are a lot of political gimmicks already going on at the moment, and then we understand and we know how the role that youths most times get to play. Let me take you up on something that was said very recently by a former head of state, Ibrahim Babangida, IBB for short. It was quoted very recently as saying that the next president will be in his 60s. I don't know whether it's a prophecy or a prediction, but do you think it's even good enough? The next president of this country has to be in his 60s. How are you responding to this news?
My response is remarkable that a former head of state of that caliber, former head of state of Nigeria, in the person of His Excellency Ibrahim Babangida, and say such a thing. But beyond saying that, I'm thinking that the bar is too high. I mean, look at the other countries of the world. We're talking about presidents in their 30s, in their 40s, and few in their 50s. I'm thinking that we really need to give the young people opportunity. Look, They know what is the issues in this country. They are the people who are directly hit. Let me give you are having a population of almost 40 million unemployed people. I mean, when you have 40 million unemployed youth in the system, the best way is to pick one of them, or maybe one of them who have distinguished themselves, to get involved and see how to solve the problem. Unless and except we do that and get them quite engaged and get them involved and get them to participate in the process and get them to make their contribution like other counterparts in the world, like other ones all over the world are doing. And again, I will also say this, to draw you back to Cross River. Cross River State has stayed a pace. Governor Ben Ayade has done something that has never been done. Look at the number of, we're having 73% of the population of Cross River State being the young people. And Governor Ben Ayade has decided that this population has to be involved, has to be a part of the process, has to be engaged, has to contribute. And so he's made most of his appointment to be young persons. And that's why when you go to Cross River State, every young person is actively involved in decision making. You can check it out yourself. So if this could be replicated in Nigeria, I think Nigeria will be a better place. Look, the Mike Zuckerberg and the rest are not people in their 60s. In their 60s, you should be thinking of retiring. I mean, that should be your benchmark. I mean, your 60s, you shouldn't be talking about ruling
having some very
complex country like Nigeria.
The network and then just freezing a bit. Okay, Engineer Ben, we do have you back, but let's take a breather. When we come back, we'll turn our attention to other issues as we stay on this issue of the World International Youth Day. We're back in just a moment. Join us again. All right, you're welcome back. As we begin to wind down on our conversation, let's see, into Benaka, I understand, of course, you've been in the youth movement for quite some time now. Share with us your experiences about, your experiences in the course of doing all of this with the young minds. There's also the question of, are the youths even ready? How can youths even, ensure that in 2023 they are rightfully positioned, across the country as it stands? As you said, when you look at many nations around the world, there are young persons doing so well. The Olympics has only just ended a few hours ago. Teenagers, children, won Olympic medals. But that's not the case with our country, our dear beloved nation, Nigeria. So, share with us your experiences. Are the youth even ready?
Well, the issue of readiness is neither here nor there. But the fact is that I think leadership is called to bear. It's leadership that we should be discussing. For the young persons in Nigeria, there are a lot of challenges around them. That's why for us who are a little bit privileged, and God has blessed us, what we did first was to show example. And we decided through the foundation, the Benaka Foundation, to set up a youth structure across the entire senatorial districts of Cross River. And we set up youth houses where they are going to be trained in entrepreneurial service, they are going to be trained in leadership, they are going to be trained in service, they are going to be trained in various forms of empowerment. This is to show to people that the young people can actually lead. They are ready. You haven't given them the space. And that's why most times the only way they crave for that space is to make their voice heard. And most times they make their voice heard in a negative way. So if we must grow as a nation, we must ensure that we set up a structure that encourage their growth, that encourage their participation, that encourage their involvement in the politics of the nation. Until we do that, we're going to still be having this issue. But beyond that is the fact that, you see, the issue of unemployment is as a result of years of an economy that has not really stand its test of time. I mean, between 2011 to 2014, the Nigerian economy was growing at the staggering rate of 7%. And then all of a sudden, I mean, our currency plundered to almost 70% of its value. Unemployment rose from 2.3% to 26%. That is phenomenal. You've thrown a lot of section to the streets. And everybody is struggling to survive. I mean, the worst hit is the youth population. And so for us, it is not just by mere wishing, it's that leaders must show example. They must engage the youth. They must allow them opportunity to participate. They must be involved. They must galvanize them and not just tell them that they are the future leaders, but also show them that actually you mean what you say, not only what you mean. So we think that the Nigerian youth should, as a person, as a people, have that opportunity to contribute. But for me, as an individual, my relationship with them has been tremendous. They are very smart, they are intelligent, they are very articulate, given opportunity. You see what they are doing all over the world. So it's just the enabling environment which we have provided in our foundation. That enabling environment will give them mentorship, will give them capacity building, will give them everything that the youth needs to grow. And that's what we think is important in growing a country.
Because we find ourselves in a dispensation and in an environment of society where education is considered really very high, especially formal education. But which would you subscribe to? Education over skills acquisition or skill acquisition over education, especially for youths?
I think they both should go together. But you see, like what you have is sustainable in Israel. No matter your level of education, you must learn skill. Skill is important. I mean, I went to school, I did engineering, I'm also in business. So it makes you versatile. It makes you not to be static in a position. So I think education will enable you to learn the requisite skill and to know what it is to contribute into that sector. So you don't just deal on one aspect. And I think that's the mistake we often make. We say skill acquisition and we limit it to people who have an education. We say capacity building. We only limit it to those who are holding offices. This it should be holistic. And I think if we do that, and again, give them a space to to contribute, it's just the space. And I've said that quite in a different fora, in several fora, that is because the young people haven't had the space to make their contribution. That's why we are seeing this resistance. And again, I mean, maybe nature has not been too fair to them during this period, the pandemic, the inflation and all that. So, but I think going forward, if right policies are put in place and combined with skills, combined with capacity building, I think we're going to have a better Nigeria, because the destiny of this country is in the hands of the young people.